Excel provides us with a feature to lock the cells of a worksheet as required, so that those cells become uneditable. It is very useful, especially to maintain formats of templates and protect cells with formulas. By default, protecting a worksheet locks all cells, so none of them are editable. Select the complete worksheet using the Ctrl+A keys and right-click to select Format Cells. Then click the Protection tab. We can see that all the cells have the locked checkbox enabled. So when we protect our worksheet, every cell becomes non-editable. But we may require only specific cells to be locked or unlocked. We will see how to do that. Here we have our product sales data. We have a product names column, price per unit column, number of units sold column, and the sale amount column. Our sales amount column is a formula column, calculated as a multiplication of units sold with price per unit. Suppose in our scenario, we do not want any user to be able to edit the product names, column headings, and the formula of sales amount. Users should only be allowed to edit price per unit and units sold column values. To make this work, we will select the data cells that we want to be editable. Right-click and select Format Cells. Under the Protection tab, we will uncheck the locked checkbox. Then, click OK. Now the cells under the price per unit column and units sold column have their locking disabled. And the product names, column headings, and sales amount formulas still have their locked status enabled. Right now we can see that all cells are editable. We will need to protect our worksheet for locking to take effect. To do this, click on Review. Then click Protect Sheet. Here we can provide a password which will be required when we want to unprotect the sheet again. You can also leave it blank. These are the list of operations that we can allow users to perform on cells. For this example, we are allowing the user to perform only the selection operations on locked and unlocked cells. Then, click OK. We can see that our sheet is now protected. Now when we try editing the cells that had their lock status enabled, we get this message. We are not allowed to edit the locked cells. We can't edit formulas. We can't edit product names. We can't edit column headings. But we can edit the values in the cells under the price per unit column. We can edit the values in the cells under the units sold column. They are editable because we disabled, or unchecked, the locked status for these cells. That is why they are editable. If we click on the Unprotect sheet, the locking functionality will stop, and all the cells will become editable again, irrespective of the locked status of the cells. Let's try protecting our sheet again. But this time we will provide a password. Then click OK. We will have to re-enter our password to confirm it. Then click OK. This will set the worksheet unprotect password and protect our worksheet. Now as seen earlier, we can edit only the cells that had their locked status disabled or unchecked. And we cannot edit the cells that had their locked status enabled or checked. But if we try to unprotect the sheet, we will be prompted for the worksheet unprotect password that we have set earlier. So provide that password and click OK. Our worksheet will become unprotected. Now after unprotecting the sheet, all cells become editable irrespective of their lock status. So this was one way of locking and unlocking the cells. Now we will see another method. But first of all, let us set the locked status of all the cells to the default locked value. We see a small square dot on the locked status checkbox because, right now, our sheet has some cells that have their locked status enabled and some cells with their locked status disabled. That is a mixed locked status. We will set it to its default value, which is locked status enabled. Now let's see the other method. Like our previous example, we want only these cells to be editable. But this time we will not disable their locked status before protecting the worksheet. Instead, this time, we will click Allow Edit Ranges. This kind of wizard will appear. We will click on New. In this new range prompt, we can provide any custom title. For our demonstration, I will leave the title as Range 1. Under Refers to Cells, we have our range of cells already mentioned, which is cell B2 to C5. In the Range Password field, we can provide a password. So whenever we try to edit the values of the cells from the provided range, we will be prompted to provide the password. Only then we will be able to edit the cell value. We will see its example later on. Now, we can click OK to continue. Or, we can set user permission. Here we can add a user from our system or network and set permissions for him. We can allow or deny a user to edit the cell range without a password. Since we have no other user on our system, we will cancel it. Then click OK. This is our cell range. We can modify or delete the range from here. In this method we do not have to disable the lock for our cell range, like in the previous method, to make it editable. From here, we can access the Protect Sheet functionality. As seen before, we can set an unprotect sheet password, and enable or disable cell operation permissions for the user. Then click OK. Our sheet is protected now. Now we can see that the locked cells are non-editable. And the range we provided in Allow Edit Ranges are editable. By clicking the Unprotect sheet, all cells will become editable. We can go to Allow Edit Ranges and modify or delete the cell range, if required. Suppose we have a template with some cells having fill color. Fill colors can be used to distinguish certain cells for certain operations by the user. Suppose we want only these green cells should be editable. We can see that the locking status of all the cells in the worksheet is enabled. Since we want only the green cells to be editable, we will first select all the green cells. The easiest way is to use the Find and Replace functionality. Press Ctrl+F keys. This will open the Find and Replace box. Here, we will select the format. Then click the Fill tab. Then from the background color, we will select the color of our cell. Since we have created the template, so we know the fill color we selected for the cells. This is the green color used in the cells. We will select it. Then click OK. We are basically using Find and Replace functionality to find cells with a particular formatting, which in our case is the fill color green. Then click Find All. This will find all the cells that have the formatting of the fill color green and display the details here in the list. To select them, we will press the Ctrl+A keys. It will select all the listed green cells. Now the work of Find and Replace is over. We can close it. Now it is all just like the first method we saw earlier. We will right-click on the selected cells. Select Format Cells. Under Protection, we will disable the locked status by unchecking it. Then click OK. Now for locking to take effect, we will go to Review and click on Protect Sheet. We can provide the Unprotect Sheet password if we want. Select the allowable operations on cells from the list. Then, click OK. Our worksheet has become protected and locking has taken effect. We can see that all the non-green cells are locked and non-editable, whereas all the green cells are editable, just like how we wanted it to be. Suppose we want the opposite. That is, we want green cells to be locked, and non-green cells to be editable. To do so, we can first select all the cells in the worksheet by pressing the Ctrl+A keys. Then disable their locked status by unchecking it. Now using the Find and Replace functionality, we will select all the green cells, as we saw in the previous example. Once the green cells are selected, we can enable their locked status by checkmarking it. Now we have green cells marked for locking and the rest of the cells are kept unlocked. For locking to take effect, we will have to protect our worksheet. Now our worksheet is protected. And we can see that the non-green cells are editable, whereas the green cells are locked or non-editable. One more thing I want to cover is the ranged password in the Allow Edit Ranges option. We mentioned that we will look at it later. So, suppose we want the cells under the Units Sold heading to be editable and the rest of the cells to be locked. So we will click on Review, and select Allow Edit Ranges. We will create a new range. Let the title be as it is. The cell reference range is already filled. Now we will give a range password. This password will be required when we try to edit the cells mentioned in the cell range. We will type a password and click OK. It will prompt us to confirm the password. So we will retype the password again. Then click OK. Our range is created. Now we will protect the worksheet. We will not give any worksheet unprotect password. After selecting the allowable cell operations, we will click OK. Now our worksheet is protected. All the other cells that do not come under the cell range we defined will be locked. If we try to edit the cells that come under the defined cell range, we will be prompted to enter the range password. Only after entering the range password, we can edit the cells. This was a brief idea about cell lock and its application in the Excel worksheet. If you liked the information then, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for your time and patience. Have a nice day.